For the last few weeks, I have been making over my half bath. This is what it looked like originally, and this is what the first round of makeovers turned it into. But I wanted to add a little bit more, so I added this accent wall, this wood ceiling, so I could add a little character to the space. And after a few setbacks like peeling walls and flooding bathrooms, I was able to find a green-gray paint color that I loved. So I still want to add some more things to this bathroom, so let's go ahead and get started. Before we jump back into the bathroom, I want to tell you guys about a new brand that I'm excited to partner with, and that is Wild. And they want to replace the throwaway culture of our everyday bathroom products with refillable products that actually work. So their products have no single-use plastic and come in premium refillable cases. Wild products have safe, natural ingredients that contain no harsh chemicals, parabens, or aluminum salts. But the most important thing is, do they actually work? I was most interested in trying their deodorant because doing projects all day long, especially in the heat of Texas, I really need something that is going to keep me smelling and feeling fresh all day. And the Wild deodorant has 24-hour protection to do just that. Wild also offers a flexible subscription service, so they will send your product straight to your door, and also you can choose to switch out the different scents. I am using fresh cotton and sea salt, and it smells so good. So if you guys are interested in trying out Wild, they have given me a discount code that will not last long. It is Kelsey DIY 20. So you can get 20% off their website when you go click the link down in the description. Okay, here's where we left off in the bathroom. Got all the walls painted, and the ceiling is almost done. Still have to do the pieces along the edge. But before we can get to the wall treatment that I want to do in here, I need to get the vanity installed right here. And that's because it's going to be like long strips, and so they're going to be coming down the wall, and they're not going to go behind the vanity. They're going to stop. And so I need to know exactly how high that's going to be. So I'll go ahead and install that. All right, the vanity is set into place so we can get started on our wall treatment. It's very simple. I don't want to overwhelm this room because we've already got the dark color, we've already got the wood ceiling, so I'm using these. If you've followed my channel for a while, you've seen me use these before. They're called bender boards, and the only place that I can find them is at Home Depot. They come in 8-foot lengths. This one's just cut, and they have a lot of flex in them, but the sides are a lot more finished than like 1/4-inch plywood. And so I like to use these because they already come in these strips that are about 4 inches wide. And so I'm just gonna have these be strips, probably 3 on each wall, kind of like that, that will obviously be painted the color of the wall, but it'll just give the room a little bit of something without being like way in your face. Okay, I got all of these top boards done up here, and now I'm going to be moving to the bottom. So for the bottom, I'm gonna do a little bit different. These boards are made out of MDF, so they are highly susceptible to water, which is not the best in a bathroom, even though this bathroom is just a half bath. But just in case, I wanna elevate them just a tiny bit. So I'm laying this board down first, and then I'll be placing the baseboard kind of on top of that, just to elevate it off the floor a tiny bit, just to protect it, because we're gonna have quarter round going all the way in front of it anyway, which will cover that gap. And the quarter round is made of wood, which is better with water. Okay, all of the top boards and all of the bottom boards are in. And so I want to start installing all of the vertical boards here, but I somehow miscalculated whenever I was getting the supplies, and I think I'm like 4 boards short. So I'm gonna have to run to Home Depot and grab some more boards. But you can see here, I just stuck a little one right here. You can see how it's going to look. So the horizontal ones here, then we'll have the vertical ones going down. All that will be painted to match the wall. And then we'll have a piece of trim right there that is the same color as the ceiling. So it'll cover up any gaps there. Okay, we're back from the store, got all of our boards. Hopefully, we should be good. But I need to start measuring for these vertical pieces. This is a little bit trickier than the horizontal pieces because in an ideal world, I would cut all of them the exact same length and they would fit perfectly, but I am sure these walls are not absolutely level and perfect, so we're gonna have to measure each one. And before I can measure, because I wanna get, an accurate measurement with the exact placement, I'm having to figure out exactly where I want each board to go. And it's a little bit tricky because I am working with these beams here, that's gonna affect this wall and this wall right here. Like right here, this window is not centered on this wall. I think it's like an inch off. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a board down the middle and I'm gonna center a board here and center a board there. And then, so I'll just have to take it wall by wall and figure out exactly where I want the placement. So what I'm doing to help get the boards nice and level is I am marking the placement at the top on little marks, and I'm gonna put my laser on that mark. And then I will mark the middle of each board and I will make sure it lines up with that mark and then goes all the way down and stays level. So now that I've got each of my 3 marks up top, I'm going to hold the board up in place and mark the exact cuts for each one. Okay, most of the walls are done. I'm trying not to let myself get too caught up in like the exact placement, that they all be perfect, because like I said, from this side of the window to that wall is a different measurement than right there. I had to account for things like this, the light fixture. And so basically I tried to make sure everything was centered, like this is centered in between the beams. On this last wall, this one's going to be a little bit trickier. I want to do this one right here straight over this light switch. So what I'm going to have to do is mark and cut a hole in the board to go over the light switch, and then I'll pull the light switch out and it will be sitting on top of this board. All right, it's the next day, and what I really want to do is just start painting all of these little boards here, but I can't because we definitely have some prep to do. I need to sand like at all of these joints here. I just want to make them as smooth as possible. And I need to go through and fill all of these nail holes. I also need to caulk, of course, because it's really important with textured walls. You can see gaps behind the board, and I don't want that. So I'm going to be caulking each side of these boards here, and after all of that is done, then we'll finally be ready to paint. After I got all of the joints sanded, I went in with my wood filler. My favorite kind is the kind that is pink and then it dries to like a tan color, so you know that it's completely dry and ready to sand. And when you're wood filling, you want to overfill the hole that you're trying to fill because it does sink down a little bit. So if you overfill it, it'll drop a little bit and then you can sand it smooth. And then for caulk, I like to use like a really flexible caulk. I will try to link all of the products that I'm using down in the description, but this is what really takes a project from DIY to professional, in my opinion. Just the small little details. And I like to use one that can dry pretty quickly in like 20 or 30 minutes. So while I waited on the caulk to dry, I went through and sanded smooth all of those little spots, and if I can feel it with my hand, it will show up in paint. I also went ahead and decided to paint the quarter round that I was going to be installing later. It's easier to paint that before you install it versus like trying to tape off the floor and then painting it later. So after I got all of that painted, then I could get started on the walls. And I'm using a roller brush, but a smaller one for these boards here. Again, I will link that down in my description. They're very inexpensive. I get them off of Amazon, and they were the perfect width to fit on these boards and make everything look nice and uniform and smooth without having brush strokes. If I did use a brush, I would use the brush first and then go back over it with the roller, so it would have that same smooth finish all around. Now that all of the walls were painted, it was time to go in with the quarter round that I had previously cut and painted. So I'm just using my nail gun and some 1.5-inch brad nailers to really secure the quarter round to the wall. And after I get all of those in place, I am going to go back in with some caulk because the walls are not perfectly straight and that bender board is really flexible. That's why it's called bender board, and it kind of goes in or out with the wall more so than this quarter round does. And so there were some spots that weren't completely even, so I just filled those in with some caulk and I was able to camouflage it really well. I will also go back and wood fill all of the little nail holes that my nail gun left and then sand those smooth and then paint everything, and this accent wall treatment will be done. Okay, this is where we're gonna stop for today's video. We got the wall treatment all done. Still needs to add the little trim pieces up at the top here so the wall blends right into the ceiling, but I think it's gonna take maybe one more video to get this room wrapped up, so make sure you guys are subscribed and I will see you in my next video. Bye!